it has made them feel more secure about their future. So when we talk about assessments, when we talk about Capri framework, we often tend to forget the actual impact it can have on students if it is done really well. And he is a classic example from the UHNE Academy case. Now, if you want to know more about the program and especially the implications for the equity cohorts, we've got a journal article that has been published. I'll share the link there as well, so you can get more information around it. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, guys. That's wonderful. We'll throw straight across to Mike Saxon and Christian Hewen from Liverpool Boys High School, the Australian Government High School of the Year 2019.
So we are part of the U at Uni program with UTS, but we've also been doing a whole stack of other work with Review and Capri. So just give you a little bit of a context to kick off. So we're a low SES school in southwest of Sydney, about 40 kilometres southwest of Sydney. We're a really multicultural school. Our boys come from about 60 different cultural groups. About 95% of our boys identify from a non-English speaking background. And you can see some of our boys on the slide there. Our learning is very hands-on, very practical. So about 7 years ago, we moved to a learning style, project-based learning, inquiry-based learning. Our focus is really around choice and passion and unlocking that passion for the kids. So in 2016, we started our capabilities journey, because that's the key, as everyone has said, about unlocking student learning. Because what I'm really interested in is not how much knowledge a kid can attain at school, but what are those skills, what are those capabilities? And if we don't start to assess that and measure it, then we don't really value it or believe in those things. So 2016 we started. You've seen the model, the Capri model already. This was our one from 2018. We thought that we would add literacy and numeracy to it. We've since dumped that out. It doesn't really fit into the model. We also tried working with the ACARA Australian General Capabilities Framework, and that's where some of these items come from. It didn't work very well. We found it too broad, too messed up, just bit of a piece of rubbish, to be honest. But the Capri model really did capture what we were talking about. What I really want to talk about today is that senior model. So in 2019, we moved to a position where we started to use Capri and Review to assess our schools in the last 2 years of school in the HSC, as that part just before the kids graduate high school. So we now mark, assess and report capabilities across the entire school. That's our sole reporting process, okay? So we've completely flipped assessment within the school. These are the way that we've broken down the elements in Capri. If you'd stopped and look at it, you'll see there's lots of similarities with what UTS does, and that's the beauty of Capri. It gives you that overarching framework to connect everything else. So let's have a look at it a little bit deeper. So in this sample here, we're looking at our research and our critical thinking capability. Down the bottom are our two components, investigating and analysing. We have a variety of indicators, like subcategories, and as you read up, you get increasing difficulty from level 1, level 2, up to level 3. And you can see the language change, from sort to organise to design. So that's our progress, that's our map. This is a work in progress. We're at the moment working on this to develop it into a 5-layer system. 3 layers isn't really sufficient to differentiate between the kids. So how do we do it? Here's a sample of a drama task. And you can see here, Christine, my wonderful drama teacher, who's on the chat. If you've got any questions, throw them on there. She'll jump on and answer for you. So in this task, the boys in drama was about analysing, reasoning and communicating. You can see that we've got level 1, 2 and 3. We broke each of the levels up into subcategories. And simply what the teacher does is, by looking at the piece of work, and in this context it's drama for analysing, put a tick in the appropriate spot. So 2.1, you've just made it into level 2. 1.3, you really haven't quite got there. 2.2, you're kind of right in the middle of that level 2 space. The teacher then puts that into review, and there's a little graphic playing in the background here of putting it in, again for drama. So you'll be able to see as we go into here, the student makes a reflective comment as part of this process, and the teacher repeats on the sliders. You can see the capabilities on the left-hand side. Teacher pops the sliders in, that's the black arrow. The blue arrow is indicating where the student has self-assessed. So you get that story about what the student believes they're at, where the teacher's at, and just as Simon was saying, we've got that ability to communicate and work out what that difference is in between them. All right. So in the HSC, in year 12, year 11 and 12, as the boys are heading towards that matriculation and the university entry, they study 6 courses. And just like Simon showed, we're able to map those courses with the different skill areas. And there's quite a lot of difference there, but they're fairly obvious. You'll see visual arts has a strong practical component, advanced mathematics a strong critical thinking component. So we're drawing the capability assessment from 6 courses and across a number, 3 or 4 assessment tasks per course. So for most students, we're looking at 20 to 22 assessment tasks and then parts within. So you see there's a lot of data from a lot of different places, and this is what we get. So the column graph here on the left-hand side is one student's report from earlier this year, and you can see where they've landed across each of the 5 capabilities. Remember, this is not a measure of who they are as an innovative person, but a measure of what they performed in the particular tasks. The diagram on the right-hand side, this is our graduate certificate. We produced this at the end of last year. We'll do it again this year, and it shows that relative skill level of every student across 2 years worth of assessment tasks, and then a story at the bottom about what that actually means. And when you compare that to an ATAR, which is one number, what does one number tell you about a student? Virtually nothing. This is a rich data source. So how do we start to use it? This is one of Simon's slides looking at that breakup of capabilities. Just want to have a look at something. Just notice health here. Look at the range of colours in health. Let's go back to Henry. Okay? Henry looks to me, I'll just flip backwards and forwards, like a bit of a perfect match for the health area. His colours are fairly close. So we're able to take the story of what you need at university in a graduate and match that with students, not with a random ATAR, but actually match capability to capability. That's what we're working on with UTS and Western Sydney University as an alternate entry. We can do this before the exams. We don't need HSC exams anymore. This can be scaled up not just from between one school, but all schools and all universities. It's really exciting work, but there's another step. I'm assuming not everyone on here is an educator and say, well, okay, what's the connection with work? This is about schools and universities. Not so. We're working with our Liverpool Innovation Precinct, so that's got the hospital, it's got council, it's got a whole range of research centres in Liverpool, all big employers here. We're looking at how we can put an integrated health and education system together. And you'll see in this key diagram, capability curriculum sits front and centre of that work. So what do we want to explore, just like you're doing with the fusion skills, is how the capability can be measured, can be assessed, can be used right across this local area in Liverpool here. It may or may not be exactly what we're proposing in this study. There's a lot of work to be done as we grow this, but this is a really exciting journey that changes that nature of assessment and puts the student at the centre. everybody gets a personalised story about where their capabilities are. So that's a pretty rapid fire attempt to go through a 5 or 6 year journey at Liverpool Boys. I'm going to hand over to Daryl now, and we've been working together for 5 or 6 years, and he's the architect of this wonderful Capri. Thanks, Daryl.
Thank you, Michael.